Tov, Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach, with Hashem's help, we will do and we will succeed. So it has been decided to start a Chazanut series, Chazanut classes. Obviously, every branch of Judaism, well, really a few different kinds of titles in the Jewish religion, faith. They have their own ways of pronouncing letters, the way they have it from the tradition, many years. And we have it our way, the Bukharian way, and there's a Sephardic. These both titles are very different worlds in and of their own. Sephardic Chazanot is a very different world. It's very similar and close to the obviously the Middle Eastern, but it's really, if you compare the music, it's very comparable with the Greek style of music. It has like the same kind of I don't know names, but same kind of like notes, same kind of different kinds of way of and types of singing. There's, for example, many different kinds of names of the makam that is for every parasha. That's how the Sephardic approach, tradition, minhag goes. For example, every time when we read Bereshit, Shmot, Vayikra, Bamidbar, Devarim, eventually, meaning that every first parasha of that book, we started the fourth book yesterday, Baruch Hashem, so the makam was rast. Usually it's rast, almost the same word, maybe even in the translation in Arabic, which means rosh, the head of the book. So that's, for example, Sephardic Chazanut, which is a different world. It's a separate world of its own, and Bukharian is the same thing, that the Bukharian Chazanut, there's very, their own ways, their own tactics, the way that, as we call it, bror dufror, up and down, stay in the middle, all these different things, high notes, lower notes, medium kinds of notes. This is almost in every Chazanut, Ashkenaz, Sephardic, Bukharian, whatever you want to call it, any title. But the main thing in all of these different branches of Judaism is the Yirat Shamayim. Obviously myself included, and I also do work on it. I try to, at least. And everyone has to make it perfect, Be'ezrat Hashem, one day, that they have Yirat Shamayim Maleh. They're going to have 100%, and they're going to be complete in it, without any shells, without any cracks, without any kind of any kind of holes, basically. That the Yirat Shamayim should stay complete and whole in that vessel, in the holy vessel, which we all eventually would like to become. At least that's the proper hashkafa to have, the proper approach to always go and elevate and progress to the highest and to the best. Especially when it comes to the Chazanut. Not everyone's world is to be Chazan. Maybe everyone's world is to be Shliach Tzibur, which is really almost the same kind of word. So Shliach Tzibur is the person who goes, the person who goes to the Amud, which is like this, Teva, it's called, the Bima. And the person says Shaharit, Mincha, Arvit, Shabbat prayers, holiday prayers, obviously are on a much higher realm, and they should be. And whoever does the shofar, whoever reads the Torah, this is usually called Shliach Tzibur. Now, that's without makam or with makam, with singing, without singing, that's just called Shliach Tzibur. Chazan is usually somebody that has a nice voice, and the halakha suggests it is and the suggestion and the proper advice from the halakha that the best person should be chosen to be chazan, somebody that can sing, and not only that, somebody who has a good voice, that everyone likes it, not just one group of people, not just one company or one side of the shul likes it, the other one hates that person. Somebody that is neutral with all the people. Especially if it's a kohen, then he has to have shalom bayit with everyone because he blesses the people. It's a mitzvah deoraita. This is once again not to focus on anyone, but to focus on the kohanim. at the general rule, the general focus, what the Torah focuses on. If a Kohen has a problem with somebody, then he cannot bless the people, and he for sure should not be a Chazan. And even if you're not a Kohen, you should not be Chazan if you have a machloket with somebody, if there is such a thing by people. And things do happen. We are all people. We're not perfect yet. That's why we are here in this world. So it's not somebody. A Chazan is not somebody that's just about singing. It is also about the Yirat Shamayim, just like we said. Maybe in this shul we have not made it famous yet, but it is definitely a famous concept and a famous story that has happened 200-300 years ago. The Talmid Chacham's name, the Gadol Shebei Israel's name was Rabbi Moshe Sofer, or Rabbi Moshe Schreiber. So the Khatam Sofer, his name was Rabbi Moshe Sofer, Alav Shalom. His teacher was Harav Natan Adler, Harav Nosson Adler in Europe. And the Khatam Sofer, when he was still the student of his rabbi, of his teacher, he said, Rabbi, why is the Mashiach, not coming? Just like a question that all of us probably should have in our minds at many points of time in life. So he said there's three problems. He said one wooden piece of the chair is complete, but the other three pieces that are holding the chair, they are actually almost broken. And he said, why? He said, because it has to do with the three titles of people. It has to do with the shochatim, with the people who know how to slaughter in the humane way, not inhumane, obviously. I'm not talking about that. People who know how to slaughter the humane way, the kosher way, it's called the shochet. And the second ones are the sofrim, the Jewish scribe, writes a get, writes Sefer Torah, especially something that tefillin, something that is used by every Jewish male every single day, most of the time. Mezuzot, kameot, segulot. And the third one is the chazanim, something also that we use even more than every day. It's a few times a day actually, especially by Shabbat and even more so by the high holidays. Right? So he said that's one of the main reasons why Mashiach did not come yet. Why? Because these people, they make Mashiach go away. They push him. Do they want to do that? Not necessarily. But who they are, they do not have Yirat Shamayim necessarily. And that's why the Rabbi Natan Adler, Alav Shalom, that's what he said, because many times it is proven to be true. That's why Chazan, Shochet, or Sofer, all of them, they have to be very careful. Aside from that, even if you're not those three things, or one of the three things, then you also obviously are obligated to have the Yirat Shamayim, and always elevate and grow higher and higher. So that's just a little point to have about the Chazanut and being Shliach Tzibur in general. Another thing is that, before we actually start, I don't know if we'll start this lesson or not, depends on time right now, but this is a very important thing, why I started it from these points and from these facts, because every one of us has to know this. Another thing is that, can I just have that Siddur? No, it's not here. Thank you. Another thing is to know, this once again, it's not a suggestion, it's not an advice, it's halakha l'maaseh, is that how do we pronounce the aleph and the ayin? As you heard it right now, aleph and ayin. It's not ayin and aleph, right? If somebody's name is Lior or Liora, you do not say Liora or Lior. That's something else. How you said it properly? I'm saying.
What are you using? Which ones?
When you say aleph, it's like soft. It comes like from the breath, from the breathing. Aleph, very soft, very easy to say. Aleph. But when you're using ayin, when you're saying ayin, when you pronounce ayin, you have to pronounce it very deeply, very hardly, because that is its sound. Ayin, ayin, ayin. It comes from the throat, like from the inside. Ayin. Yeah. Aleph. Hey. Oh yeah, we didn't come to that. Now, so we said about ayin, aleph and the letter ayin. So the halakha in the Shulchan Aruch, it tells us whoever does not know how to pronounce that, you're not allowed to be chazan. That's not being politically correct. Sorry about that, but that's the halakha l'maaseh. And if somebody mixes hit, if you are Sfaradi, you must say hit, because that's our tradition, that is our minhag, and that's what we follow. To a certain extent, that some of the chachamim, Sfaradi chachamim, they do not count it if you say hit. It's a different letter.
How do you say it right
So you say hit, that's something to work on a few times, a few days maybe a few weeks. Also something that comes from the throat. Hit, between the throat and the upper part of the throat. Hit, hacham. And ch, when you wash yourself in the morning, ch, or you say to somebody. So that comes from the upper part of the throat. So you have to say, there is once again aleph, ayin, hey. As Faradim should say hey, like hey, H-E, hey. Ashkenazim say hey. It's okay. It doesn't matter about the name of the letter. It matters about how you pronounce it. Ashkenazim pronounce it hey. But it should, all of us, Sfaradim say he, but we should also, it's also a letter of breathing. We said aleph, and now it's he, like that. So we said about he and het, chaf and kaf, it's two different letters also. When you read in the Torah, it could be the same letter, but it depends when. For example, when you say Yevarechecha, you don't say Yevarecheka. Or there is another word in the Birkat HaKohanim, Birkat Aaron HaKohen, it is Vihuneka, not Vaichunecha, or not Vichunecha. It's a little distortion of the word. The translation is a little different then, but we do say Vihuneka. Vihuneka. So we have to say Vihuneka. The Chazan and the Kohen. The Shliach Tzibur and the Kohen. Now we come to Vav. He. Now we come to Vav, the letter Vav. How do you pronounce the letter Vav? So many Sephardic customs are like a W. Wow. Wow. Not wow, but wow.
Well, we got a money disqualified, all of us. Well, we disqualified the money.
So Harav Ovadia Yosef, the grandson, he says this does not exist. So he says that we don't really know if that's the actual pronunciation or not. So if you do not pronounce it that way, it's not a big deal at all. It's not even a small deal. So just pronounce it that way, the way that you can pronounce it. But why is there a distinction, a difference, like wow and vet? Because you don't want to mix the two letters. It's a different letter. There's many times in the halakha where in the bracha, for example, in the marriage bracha, chuppah ve'kiddushin. So the chachamim tell us, the Gemara and the Rishonim, Achronim, they say we have to say vet, and not vav. So it should be really chuppah ve'kiddushin. Chuppah, the wedding canopy, and the marriage process, the marriage system. But they say that instead of it being a vav, it has to be a vet, and that's why we say chuppah ve'kiddushin. So it's not a vav over there. You won't say chuppah ve'kiddushin. You're going to say chuppah ve'kiddushin. So that's, for example, we're not learning marriage yet, but Bezrat Hashem one day we will, b'li neder. But I'm just trying to point out an example. That's one of the practical examples. In different states, it happens a few times a day. Marriages, people say it a few times a day. Sometimes they don't know what they're saying, but they still say it. But we have to know what we're saying. Okay, and also there is a difference, and this we should try to keep this in mind and try to be a little bit more strict on this. For example, the letter Kuf, it's like a hard K, and the letter Kaf or Chaf. So kaf should stay as like a easy K, a regular K. And it's like in English we have a K and we have a Q. So pretend like the kuf is the Q. It's a hard K. Even though in English quilt, you don't say quilt, right? For example, but just to give you an example of how you would pronounce the kuf. And it's a good thing to do because of the different kinds of explanations we go when we'll go deep in every letter, maybe one day. So that's because the letter kuf, it represents a certain thing, just like every other letter. So that's why it has to be just a tad bit more stronger. The emphasis and the pronunciation of that letter. For example, Ve'abraham zaken baba yamim. You could say Ve'abraham zaken also, but maybe according to some chachamim, you're changing the letter. You're saying that Abraham is not old, but he's maybe something else, zaken, and not zaken. Zaken. Zaken, yeah. Zaken. It's better that we be a little strict on the kuf, because that's really how our forefathers used to do it. Now Sfaradim, the actual people from Spain, it's different. They don't have such a pronunciation. The Temanim also do not have it. But the Bukharians and most of the Sephardic world, they do say kuf. A hard Q. And another example for the letter kuf is, for example, Asher Qiddeshanu. Make sure you don't swallow it. The kuf. Sometimes person is fast to read the Torah and parasha. Sometimes he's fast to say bracha, al ladidayim, or something like that. So make sure you do not swallow that. And then it sounds like a nun, or it sounds like a skipped letter. So we say Baruch Ata Hashem in any prayer. Baruch Ata Hashem, Elokeinu melech ha'olam, Asher qiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, whatever it is. Qiddeshanu we say. Kiddishanu is something else. So we say Qiddeshanu. Qiddeshanu. Qi is also, the kuf is also from the one of the throat letters. The very Chaf, it's above a little. Kuf is a little lower in the throat, I'm saying. Qiddeshanu, yeah. Qiddeshanu. And what about the tzaddik? Some people, the Sephardic world, say like a S or TS or TZ. Yeah, they say Sadi or Sadiq, something like that, right? Tzaddik. However you want to pronounce it, you could, but the Sephardic tradition tells us it is like a, it's not a S, it's a hard S. It comes like from here. Yeah, but it comes like from here. For me, it's for here. Maybe for somebody, it's from the other side. For me, it's for here. No. Sadi. You see, it's hard. No, TH is a different letter. TH is a taf without the dot inside. Yeah, sisit. You see, it's hard. Sisit. It's like it a little bit on the diagonal. On the diagonal, the upper teeth and the lower teeth, they like meet, and they a little bit like grind. Like it goes to the right side. You know what I mean? Sisit, like that. Sisit. It's a hard. It's a hard. Why? Because we have a samech. If you say sisit or sisit, that's like you're putting a samech in there, and the tzitzit is not spelled with the samech, and it's not spelled with the sin. The shin, the on the left side, the dot on the left side is a sin. So we said about aleph, we said about ayin, we said hey and het, we said about kaf, chaf, and kuf. What else was there? We said about sadi. So things that are deoraita, for example, kriyat shema, morning and in the night, it's better that we actually will pronounce it. Somebody did ask me here a few months ago, why did I say like a TS right now, like the hard S? I said this is something that is deoraita, and I try to use the the actual Sephardic way of the pronunciation, and that was in the Shema Yisrael in the morning. And in the Birkat Hamazon, at least in the first 4 brachot, in the first 3 brachot, with, meaning including with the Baruch Atah Hashem Bonei Yerushalayim. So it is a proper thing for a person to be strict on that and say the hard S on the tzaddik. And all the other letters that we said, they say that the first Chabad Rebbe, Rabbi Shneur Zalman Miliadi, he Alav Shalom, they say that he actually said like the Temanim. Temanim is a tad bit different. He actually read the Shema Yisrael like the Temanim do, like the Sephardic world would accept of how to pronounce it. Why? Because many Gedolei Israel actually did it. Some Ashkenazim went to the Turkish Jewry when they used to live, a lot of Jewish people in Turkey, the Turkish Jews. So they used to learn from them. The Ashkenazim, 2-3 big rabbis, they said, we want to learn the right way, we want to learn, we know that we have a few, here's and there's, so we don't know if our custom is, So we want to learn the Sephardic way because we want to read the proper way. And not every Ashkenaz will admit, I don't know if that's the right word, but will they read like that or not? Are they going to want to learn Sephardic way? Maybe they do want to learn it, but they're not going to read like that necessarily. But basically, this is our custom. What else is there? Samech, make sure it's a hard S, so we would not mix the Samech and the Tzadik and the Sin. Then there's also Tav, and then there's Thav, or Tau and Thau. So Tav is the one that has the Dagesh, meaning the Dad inside of it, and the TH, it has just the shape of the letter, but no Dad in it. Like a regular Tav, but no Dad, no Dagesh. So how do you pronounce that? So if you want to be more strict on that as well, some of us come from the state or country of Teman. So maybe in the Shema Yisrael, they might want to be a little strict. Some of us come from Iran, Iraq, obviously Israel, we all come from there. Depends what time we were all exiled in the first temple or in the second temple. But with that said, we would like to go back to our tradition and to our custom and to read it the right way. The Temanim, for example, they also have the Gimel, the Gimel and the Gimel. So the Gimel that does not have the Dat is like a G. For example, in the Birkat Hamazon, in the Ratzeh Ve'achal Yitzenu, there is a word, it is Vait Anag. No, that's without the Dat. In the end, it's usually no Gimel. It's not the Gimel with the Dat. It's usually the Gimel without a Dat. So in any of those kinds of words, you would say Gh. That's like when a person is washing his throat in the morning, or sometimes it hurts, right? They have a throat ache and they wash it off. Gargle it. Thank you. So that's the sound. If you want to do that sound, Gimel without the Dat, that's the sound. Gimel with the Dat, according to many Sephardim, do not follow like the Temanim, but according to most of the Sephardic custom is to say Gimel, and like a hard Gimel because it has the Dat inside. The Temanim say J. The Temanim do not have G. So we said about Gimel also G and J. And about Dalet with the Dat and Dalet without the Dat. So when you say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, as you heard, I just said Echad. So that's the right way to say it, because first of all, it is the Oraita. Second of all, the Sephardic custom, most of them, except for Jerba, which is Tunisia, North Africa. They say that their custom is not to say the, it's like a DH in this case, not a TH, but a DH. And that's when the Dalet does not have that Dat. So it's not like a D sound, but it's a DH sound. So once again, Ehad Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Ehad. And the halakha tells us not to stretch the Aleph, but to stretch the het a little bit more than the aleph, but to really stretch out the dalid. Why? Because we have certain kamanot that we have to have in the whole Shema Yisrael, in the first line, which is six words of the Shema Yisrael, from the Remach Tevot, from the 248 words, or from all the three paragraphs. And there are difference of opinions. If you do not have the kavanah in the first five and then the sixth word, and obviously the dalid, which has more kavanot than all the other places in the Shema Yisrael, what can you do? Can you have all of the kavanot of the first pasuk in the last letter, which is dalid, as you are saying ehal, right? It takes about 5 to 10 seconds, because you have to think about different kavanot over there, and so that's basically about the dalid. And the dalid with the dot, we also have that many times. That's already a regular dalid. That dalid is also emphasized and pronounced a little bit more harder on the emphasis because it has the dot inside. So usually any letter that has a dagesh, which is the dot inside, and in the newer sidurim, it's like there is a smaller dot. It's not such a bold dot, but there is a bigger dot, which is very bold. So the bolder it is, the better the emphasis and the pronunciation, and the bolder the sound has to be more. Because over there, the term, the interpretation, the proper translation of what we are reading, if it's a word, if it's a sentence, if it's a paragraph, especially if it's a prayer, that means that the prayer is telling you that it needs to have a dot. The emphasis has to be much more. Why? Because we want to emphasize something special, something we need to highlight, and we need to underline that fact. That's why it is bolded. That's why it has the dot inside. Sometimes when words do not have the dots, it could be a negative connotation. Many times when they do have a dot, the gashim and the dots, it is something to take in mind, that it's talking about usually something positive. That's just in the halakha, that's how they explain it to be. $7:45. And aside from that, we said it many times, we will say it once again. There's a sefer called Kaveh Yashar. Here I have it here. If I'm not mistaken, either in chapter 24 or 34. He says that the Chazan, whoever it is not supposed to be so quick. He's not supposed to be fast, meaning he should be equipped in quickness, but meaning that the Tachanun should not be so fast. Many places in the prayer, they should not be fast. I understand people are rushing. I understand people maybe could not come on time. Also depends on the emunah level, where are people holding, and the bitachon level. This is all understood, but this is like a halakha. Why? Because he says the Kaveh Yashar, alav shalom. He tells us when a person is fast in the prayer, that almost people cannot follow him, and they cannot understand sometimes what he's saying. Also in that kind of case, and to be fast just in general, he says that the prayer is not being accepted. It's just taken and thrown back at your face. It's just thrown back at that Jewish person's face. And that is something, it's sad to say, but that's unfortunately many times what happens in different shuls, especially if it's a minyan factory, which is called a shtetl, shtiblach, right? Minyan factory, every 10-15 minutes, every 30 minutes they have like a mincha, arvit, shaharit sometimes is by, when I used to go to this one place, they have it until 12:30 p.m. In the summer, in the winter, it's different times. But shaharit is like 30 minutes, so all these different things, So it's not good to, if a person comes on time, that's the best thing. If a person is a little bit late, he should catch up with the minyan, with the shliach tzibur / chazan, and therefore he should catch up later, whenever he goes home or whenever he's going to work. If he knows something by heart, just say it by heart, take a sidur with you. So a person should not be so fast. That doesn't mean to be slow as well, because there's something that's called pressure from the tzibur, torah tzibur. You're wasting somebody's time. Somebody has to go somewhere, somebody has to go to work. Once again, this is all understandable, and the halakha does agree that people should not be pressured on time. People should come on time, people should leave on time whenever they have to go, not to make anyone to have a loss, monetary loss, a consequence if he's not the boss, if he's not the CEO, whatever it is, for example. So that's about Kava Yashar. I apologize that I have to mention this as well, but this is also a halakha that became in our day and time, about 50, 60 years ago already, when the TVs were not so and sophisticated and so, they were a little bit more easier to handle, and it was not color, it was black and white. Pretty sure everyone had some kind of TV that was black and white, or saw some kind of, whatever it was, in black and white. So if you want to be a chazan, you have to know, aside from Yirat Shamayim, but in the Yirat Shamayim it goes, they do not have a TV. Talking about if this is your own house, if you own the house, if you live by somebody, that's something else, but you should try not to watch that. You should try to maybe, tell them in a nice way, to persuade them until they agree that this should not be part of their house. Because according to the Chachamim and according to the Torah, this is something that the Torah says, and you have to burn the negativity, you have to take it out from your house. And one of those things, like as if it is idol worship, because of different contents that people do watch over there, and it's not just news, it's different things, and people do waste their time, and people do not just look at it, but they gaze at it, and they go very deep into the content. Even if it's something that could be healthy, you could watch it somewhere else. You could find out about it in a different way. So with this said, somebody wants to be shliach tzibur hazan, he should not have a TV. He's not allowed to have a TV, right? We all agree on it. Even if you don't, but that is the halakha. Somebody that does not obviously promote dancing, mixed weddings, mixed parties. Even if it's a DJ and he came to a party that's not going to be mixed, it's going to be a kosher party, food, drink, water, beverages, liquor, all the things, kosher 100%. But you ask the guy, do you usually promote, do you usually service people that call you on mixed weddings? And if he says yes, but I'm doing it privately, I'm doing it men and women separate, even the seating is separate. DJ, that's the name. You have to tell him, take your stuff, goodbye. And there were cases like this that happened. That means that those rabbis, they had Yirat Shamayim, and those rabbis that are still alive, Baruch Hashem, that we can go in their way. This is not about being extreme. This is not about stringency. This is a halakha l'ma'aseh. I didn't say anything that is stringent right now. Even the pronunciation of the letters, nothing to do with stringency. It has to do with your minhag, with your custom, with your tradition, and where you come from. So these are very important things. Obviously, different things that have to do with the lower parts of the body, right? We don't need to say that word. We know what we're talking about. Not to touch people who do not belong to you, people who do not apply, like a wife and a husband. Obviously they could in the proper time whenever she's kosher for the husband, but somebody that is not your owner, that you are not in ownership of it, or of her or of him, you do not touch. Siblings after a certain age, they do not touch. This is not khumrah, this is not a stringency, this is halakha l'ma'aseh. The Gemara brings it, the Rambam brings it, Shulchan Aruch brings it, almost word to word from the Rambam and from the sources. So there's nothing to be shocked about, and maybe if we are shocked or surprised, this is our halakha l'ma'aseh. This is what the Torah wants. This is what we have to follow. And this is, we're talking about siblings, obviously strangers, woman, man, whatever. I just heard a case that happened. I don't know, maybe when the person was actually in the Beit Din. It's in New York. I'm not gonna say which Beit Din, but it happened in one of the Batei Din. But it happened in New York. It can happen anywhere. Doesn't matter Israel or outside of Israel. So there was a case that, I'm saying this for the benefit of all of us, to a certain extent that the person can always come out of his perimeter, come out of his fences that he made for himself, come out of his borders, so to say. If he does the improper ways of acting, the improper behavior, improper things that the halakha not just advises or suggests, tells you not to do it because of the following things. And the case is as follows. There was this one lady, she and her husband went to some wedding. Whether big wedding or small wedding does not matter, but the fact was that when the husband went outside to have a little break with all the men, haha, hihi, start they start to say, in your happiness, and your merit, and your this and that, and start to talk about world news, the new world order, maybe the new world agenda. So what happened over there? It was not a kosher mix. It was not a kosher wedding. The food was, but the dancing was not. So you can see that this lady, she was promoting to this other guy. It's strange. It is a stranger guy. It is a stranger man. She promoted herself to him, and they started to dance. Looking here and there, gazing at each other. Eventually, they had a drink. Eventually, they had a smoke. And eventually they had something else. So then she and her husband goes back home, and her husband decided that at this moment of time that he wanted to perform the mitzvah with his other half of a whole. And now what happens is, as they did the mitzvah, she also did the avera, right, with the other guy. That's what dancing leads to. It's very hard to understand, very hard to grasp, because our branch of Judaism says, no, we're not going to let it happen that way. But it's not about us, it's about Yetzer Hara. The fire that is already introduced, it already becomes more and more and more, grade A, and all the way to the highest grade. So this lady came to the Beit Din, and she says, I have a problem. Rabbi, can I speak to you? The rabbi said, yeah, please, can I help you? In private, please. I am embarrassed of this case, but I do want to understand, who does the future generation belong to? To the stranger guy or to the husband? Meaning that she conceived that night, I suppose, and she wanted to find out, how am I gonna know if the baby is from the stranger and it was by accident, quote unquote, right? Or if it is from my actual husband. So those kinds of things, unfortunately, these things, they become a case. Unfortunately, that we have to substitute the time in the Beit Din, in the Batei Adin. It becomes like a waste of time, but unfortunately, it became a real problem in this generation especially. And there's many different cases. But what am I trying to point out over here is that a shliach tzibur, if you are a mahtiyat harabim, which means that you do not go in the ways of the Torah, if you do not go in the proper way of the halakha, it means that your prayer is not accepted. And if you're shliach tzibur, hazan, if you are the one who they nominated because of your voice, because of your talent, because of the nice up and down, going from highest voice to the low pitches, to the high pitches once again, soprano, piano, forte, baritone, all of these different names. But if your prayer is not accepted because of who you are, then the public's prayer is not accepted because of you. You are not a good shliach. Shliach means not a messenger, but rather an agent. You were not a good agent. So with this said, we have to always not pretend, but always see and like have that spiritual eye. That who are we standing in front of? As the Shulchan Aruch says, Shiviti Hashem lenigdi tamid. The Rama HaKadosh brings this. Shiviti Hashem lenigdi tamid. Ki mimini bal emot. That I always prepare myself to imagine, to envision Hashem. If I'm able to even envision Him, but I understand that some power is always next to me, and that is Yud Kei Vav Kei. You can imagine His name. You can always introduce another good point in your mind, another good machshava, another good thought, in order to be focused on the Yud Kei Vav Kei, on the machshava tova. and the good thought in order for the prayer to be accepted, Be'ezrat Hashem. So these are basic mamash basic rules of the halachot of Shliach Tzibur. And obviously it goes without saying, and not to offend anyone once again, I understand it's the summer, I understand it's hot outside, it's mamash this year, I don't remember it to be so hot or humid sometimes. It's a lot of heat, it's a lot of humidity, and people, Baruch Hashem, as we grow more into the Geulah, closer to Mashiach, it becomes more unbearable, the heat, sometimes in the winter, the cold. But people do come in shorts, people do come in sandals, people do come in flip-flops. Apologize not to offend anybody once again. That's also halakha. The Rambam did not tell you not to come in sandals, because back in the day, that's what they wore, most of the people. But he said that Shliach Tzibur, a Chazan, is not allowed to be a Chazan or Shliach Tzibur if he is wearing sandals. Flip-flops obviously goes with the same thing, and shorts. And the Shulchan Aruch does write about that. We'll make it a nice writing and we'll publish it, and we'll, to distribute the information, the halakha, for our tzibur over here, and that everyone should know. If the Shulchan Aruch does agree with us wearing shorts during our presence in the shul, or is it against it? What does the Mishnah Berurah say about that? Is he lenient or is he not? Is that in our day and time, would that be a nice thing to go to a king, the king of England or the king of some other, let's say, Muslim country? Would that be a nice thing? Or maybe to meet a prime minister, for example, Jewish or not, would that be a nice thing with shorts? Meaning that we compare the prayer to as if we are in the king's house, which is Hashem's house. Every shul is Hashem's house when it is L'Shem Shamayim, obviously, and therefore, how would we want the king to accept us? Would he be frowning upon us? Would he give us a foul? Would he give us a strike? Would he tell us to, wrap your things and go back home? Or is he going to accept us in any way, shape, or form that we do come? How would a person come to business? With a tie, meeting, with a tie, with the pants, with nice suit? Or would he come as if he's gonna go ready, as if he's ready to go play bowling or swimming? Or kol minei devarim, all the different examples that we can just imagine for ourselves and for our days and times. So that's once again basically about the halakha l'maaseh regarding just chazanut for any branch of Judaism. Now we have a few more minutes, 2-3 more minutes, just to already introduce to you about the Bukharian chazanut. As the Bukharians have a concept, and they say this saying, they say, Harjo makom dora. Every place has its own makom. So the Bukharians, they say that makom means that it has its own world of singing. As when we said in the beginning of the shur, we said that in the Sephardic world there is different makamim. For example, names are Nahawand, Rast, Hijaz, Bayad, Husseini, Mahawar, all of these different names. It depends on the parasha's history. What the content of the parasha? What is the context in the parasha? And according to that, we know. For example, Parashat Vayehi is a sadder parasha. Parasha that's sad because Yaakov Avinu closes his eyes and he passes away, perishes from this world. So the makam of that week is a little bit more sad makam. If I'm not mistaken, it's makam Hijaz, because Hijaz is a little bit more sad. And then if it's usually like more happier occasion, it's usually Nahawand, or Nawa, or Ajam, all these different Arabic terms. Because the makam does come from them. But that is makam, easy Q, easy K. But when we still talk about Bukharians, the Q, we add a Q. It's Shash Makom. We have it from the Shash Makom, from different tunes, from different ways of how the Bukharians sang it for a few hundred years already. And that's why we say the saying that every place has its own way of singing. Means that even though it is the Bukharian Chazanut, but it depends. What is the occasion? For the Yeshua, for your side, which is for, is that your side? Your side, right? You guys know. For the passing away of that day of someone, Chas v'shalom lo aleinu. So usually the Zohar is a little bit more in a sadder tune, or like a slower tune. Maybe not necessarily sad, but like a slower makam, slower tune. Why? Because somebody passed away. It's not right now a tune to dance and all this gymnastics, capoeira, all these different things. And then there's Bukhari and Chazanut that is very fast. It's much faster, medium. All these different places that take place. So that's why the Chazan also he can change in the different sections and different parts of the prayer. If it's a Sephardic makam, he goes from makam to makam to makam. He changes the makamim. As long as he starts with man makam, he can change in the middle, somewhere in the interim, and then he can terminate with the same makam. And the same thing in the Bukharian world as well. It's usually not done that way. If they have one tune, they usually stay with one tune till the end, as we will do in the upcoming sessions. So basically, with the Bukhari and Chazanut, and with this we'll finish, the information, the one fact.
Introduction, that's all.
Yeah, this is the introduction. I had to say this because halakha for Chazanut is very specific, and everyone has to know this. Not everyone can be Chazan. As I said once again, I myself have to work, and there's a lot to work on myself about Yirat Shamayim, fearing Hashem, loving Hashem. But also in the same time, we have to know that we have to get accustomed to it. We have to also learn many times of the Jewish world, and we have to understand that if we don't learn at some point, then we're never gonna know it. In practical difference, I'm saying, not just to know it, but also to do it. So in the Bukharian world, for example, Zohar, one of the masters in our day and time, is still alive. He said one time that the Bukharian tunes for Zohar is about 13 tunes, 13 different tunes. They were one time in a meeting with all the Chazanim, like the whole Sephardic world, and they over there, Ezrom Alakav, his name is. He said there's 13 different tunes on how to perform the makam, the Bukharian makam for Zohar, just to read the Zohar. As we said, there's a Yeshua, there's a Yortzeit, the passing away of somebody. That's usually when it's read by the Bukharians, and other parts in the prayer, Shaharit, Shabbat, Patach Eliyahu, Pitchad Eliyahu, all of these different places. And also the Bukharians have their own way of singing the Tehillim. He made CDs on it. It's like 12 CDs. I think I have it somewhere, and it's very nice. Took the tunes, the original tunes, and he plugged them into every Tehillim. Every Tehillim has like its own tune. It's very nice. What else can I say about the Chazanut in general? Is that in our day and time, it's not like it used to be once upon a time, where people loved when you prolonged, and especially if somebody had a nice voice, they loved when you are playing with your voice, when you're going on a wave, when you're going zigzag with the voice, when you're going up and down, high pitch, low pitch, all these different terms. And they liked, and they had the time. But nowadays people are like faster, especially here that we start a little bit late. Well, what do I mean by late? It's not Netz Minyan. It's not that we start at 4:30 and we end at 6 or 7, and then we have a long time ahead of us. Whether regular day, especially Shabbat and holidays, unless if it's Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, people already are more understandable and more patient. So people do not like when your voice is not prepared, and a Chazan has to be prepared. This is the suggestion from Moshe Habusha, and all of the Chazanim are going to tell you that. Do not come a few minutes before, where you just woke up. Come half an hour before, at least wake up. Make sure your throat is clean. You're not going to cough, you're not going to have the mucus, you're not sick. Your lungs are not heavy, you don't have a heavy voice. You have a normal voice that everyone is going to connect to you. It's going to love. They are going to connect, they're going to sing with you, and they're going to like it. So that's, and to prolong it, it's not good. If you want to prolong for yourself at home, for your family, that's another thing. But do not prolong the Chazanut. Make it a little bit short, but not too short and not too long. short to the point, but not too short and not also too long. As we said, people go crazy, and people do not have that. Some people get red, some people want to say something, but they're embarrassed because there's a lot of people here, and then they go one-on-one with you and they tell you you're prolonging it, you're stretching it like piece of dough, like piece of rubber. So don't do that. So this is my suggestion to every one of you as well. I've been in different areas, in different shuls, in different branches of Judaism, Sephardic, Bukharian, Ashkenaz, and I've seen some other things. So this is just a good suggestion. If you want to learn, prolong for yourself, but do not prolong for the people unless if they ask you, unless if there's a certain occasion, and unless if they are really interested that you do prolong and that you really do a good job. And a person is going to say, what about ga'ava? What about haughtiness? Kaloni, bodagi. I have a good voice, the person is going to say, but I'm afraid to use it because I'm going to think about ga'ava. And I cannot use right now ga'ava to Hashem Yitbarach. And Hashem says, the Brisker Rav brings it in the Ga'ava Va'anava, and in one of his beautiful Sfarim. He says, don't worry about it. You must use your voice. You are obligated. Why did Hashem give you the nice voice? For you to do mixed dancing, for you to sing in mixed dancing? No, for you to use it for these kinds of occasions. That's why a person always has to watch out that whatever Hashem gave him, he must use it. If he does not use it, he might get punished for it. And if he uses it in the wrong impression, in the wrong way, he's also going to get a consequence with this. He's not going to be so happy at what Hashem is going to show him in the end of the day. So with this said, how much a person has to be careful with it, how much a person has to be very clear about these halachot and very clear about what kind of chazanut is doing. He has to look at the people. Are the people going to be interested in that kind of chazanut? Are they going to like the Bukharian with the Sephardic twist, or Sephardic with the Bukharian twist? Sfaradim do not really like the Bukharian, the Bukharian way, because it's a little bit more heavy, as we like to say, heavy rock, tijoli rock. So we have to see, always locate the people, who they are, where do they come from, Egyptian Jewish people, Egyptian Sfaradim, Moroccan Sfaradim. If you know Moroccan, do Moroccan because you are in a Moroccan crowd. Egyptian, do the Sephardic Makam. Persian, also same thing. Bukharian, as we said, Har Jo, Har Makom Dora. Every place has its own tune. So up until next time, thank you for coming. Baruch Adonai La'olam. Amen. Amen. Chag Sameach.